Hey, it's Del Jackson. Del Jackson's here. I don't see my face though, Andrew. I see Andrew's face. Um, Anyhow, we got our LO Hoops Zoom today with Andrew. And how you doing, Andrew Kalista from Fox 43? How you doing, buddy?
Well, Del, now that I'm talking to you, I'm doing much better than I was earlier in the week. I've been looking forward to this all week, just counting down the days. Computer didn't want me to hop on, doing some updates, so we're delayed a little bit, but hey, that's how it goes. So I'm doing good. I'm doing pretty well, pretty well.
Good. Hey, it looks like you're going to be on the whole time. Usually we go back and forth and the guy that's talking. So, hey, give us a little bit about your background here with Fox 43, with where you went to school and how you are where you're at.
Well, I grew up in Schuylkill County, so I'm a proud Skook, and that is spelled Skook. I come from hard cold country, graduated from Monterey area, Monterey City, Pennsylvania. After that, went to Syracuse University, maybe against my better judgment, but it was a top ranked program. My mom and dad are both Penn State graduates, so naturally I have an affiliation to Penn State. I've been going up there for a long time. After graduating from Syracuse, got offered a job out in the middle of nowhere, way out west, and by way out west, I mean way out west and up north in Alaska. Um, Decided to pass on that opportunity in 2009. Took 2 years for me to find a break and get into the field, which was in Charlottesville, Virginia, at the CBS 19, the Newsplex. So I was partly covering the Who's, and when Tony Bennett was like early on in his career down there, which was always fun. And after that, took a job at a independent TV station in State College, Pennsylvania, working on the Blue White Tailgate show, which was really cool, working with Steve Jones, Trey Bauer, Phil Gross of Blue White Illustrated, who was kind of a pioneer early on in the business, a lot of stuff like you do, Del. And got hooked up with sports director Todd Sadowski at Fox 43. A job came open, and I was lucky enough that they couldn't find anybody better, so they had to settle for me, as I like to tell people. So I came down to Fox. I'm just completed year number 5, looking to go into year number 6. Really excited about it. And yeah, last year basketball was different to cover in the LL, and which I thought the LL did a great job with everything, league playoffs and stuff like that. Typically cap to them, making sure those kids got the experience with everything last year. But yeah, love covering high school basketball. One of my favorite things to cover, especially on TV. It's such a great sport for TV, so love that, and looking forward to getting back to I don't want to call it more normal, but having fans and things and people in the stands.
Hey, as you talk, and most, including me, don't know what it takes to get a communications from Syracuse. So what type of classes, what did they have you do to prepare you for what you're doing now?
Oh, it was all wide ranging, and a lot of the stuff that I did is probably antiquated now. And people will tell you I work with. I am adverse to change. I hate change. I go from a Mac laptop with Final Cut to a PC laptop with a new system. I just don't like it. And if it would have been, and because that was my first one, if it would have been the other way around, I would hate going with a MacBook and stuff like that. So I'm an agent adverse to change. But when I was at Syracuse, it's a lot of, you're taking some law classes, trying to make sure you don't end up in the clink or get your workplace fined and things like that. For obviously copyright, you're going through freedom of speech classes. You're studying Jerry Falwell. That's one of your first ones in your law class. What is a parody account and stuff like that. But a lot of the stuff has changed in the field, and you just have to be able to roll with it. When I was in school, we didn't do digital editing. It was all tape to tape.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I love tape to tape editing. I mean, that's where I thought your skill was. I mean, if you could be boom, boom, boom all over on the double decks, I mean, it was a sight to behold when you were good at it. And I really thought it was kind of skilled. Now it's, I do things I never thought I'd be I never imagined I could do with the digital editing stuff. But, in a way, I think all the advancements kind of like hurt the field because now I could like color correct things when before you had to be like on point. You had to be out there and you had to be focused on what you were doing. Or you had people coming back looking like the colors of Oompa Loompas, or you had the people coming back looking like blue Smurfs, you know. So now it's just a little bit different. But when I was up, yeah, a lot of law classes, a lot of writing classes, from newspaper writing, which I was obviously, you know, didn't go into. Probably wish I paid a little bit more attention to that, because now we have to write for the web and it's different, and the AP style, things like that. So I'm familiar with it. I kind of don't follow any AP style guides when I write and things, because like the New York Times has their own style, AP has their style. I'm a history guy, so I kind of like Chicago style and things like that. But you know, just random things. And that's one thing I think people, when they're in this business, they learn everybody is a little bit different. And sometimes when you work for places, they want you to be molded into what they want. How would they cover this story and that story? And there's all different types of ways. You know, I not saying my way is the best, because it's not. It's just my style, and I'm fortunate to be able to work with some great people that allow me to show my personality and be out there. And in sports, you're allowed to do that a little bit more, which is why I do the fun stuff.
Hey, I did want to ask you this. So we've been at it for 22 years, and as you say, things change a lot, and they're going to continue to change, and that's just kind of the way it is. We have to adapt. But what I want to know is, I've gotten a pretty good feel for your crew, for the, I'm going to call it your crew, the people that go out and cover sports for you guys. It just seems like, you're very tight with each other. Is that, am I feeling that right? Do you guys have meetings, or do you guys go out socially? How does your culture in your studio work?
Well, pre-pandemic, we used to go out on probably a weekly basis, at least once a week, just to get something. I mean, we text each other all the time. We don't take days off. Lindsey Barn is off this week. Off. I've texted her probably every day. Ask her a work question, kind of stuff like that. Alex Colley, I don't think that guy has an off switch. I really don't. Like, I thought I worked hard. That guy works hard. You know, and Alex is working in the morning. People should check him out on our morning show. Comes on at 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock in the morning. Then he's out getting games at night for us sometimes, because he loves sports. You know, he's texting me this morning. We'll talk. I mean, we'll talk about random teams, and we pick on each other. We pick on each other so much. Like, I tell Lindsey Barna she's not funny. I'm letting you guys know on a thing. Like, I'm like, Barna, your jokes aren't funny. I just like to get her riled up. She's funny. But like, I'll be like, Barna, your jokes aren't funny.
Oh my gosh.
You know, I get picked on a lot, believe me. And it's all fine. You got to have thick skin. That's the one thing I say to you gotta be able to handle certain things. You gotta be able to take the busting. If you're gonna dish it out, you gotta be able to take it. And nobody wants to sit there and not smile. Like, we rag on everything. I probably don't take things as serious as I should a lot of times. You know, I'll go over the top on stuff. You know, watching Penn State lose 4 or 5 games has been tough for me. Been tough. You know, I don't want them to lose. You know, you got to separate the fans stuff from the job. And like, I like to a little bit. I like to get the fans fired up, but I also like to like point out just strategic things. Like, you know, I know up there, and just taking into another part of my job, like I did a radio hit yesterday, and you know, these people that are adverse to James Franklin leaving. Oh, Penn State's not going to get anybody better. They can't get anybody better. There's 4 billion people on the planet. You know, I'm not like, Penn State has a super strong foundation. You know, don't be afraid of the fear. I mean, hope he doesn't leave. I don't think it'd be good for Penn State if James left. I don't want James to leave. You know, I think James has done a pretty good job. Is he struggling right now? Yes, he is. But you know, I'm a big believer in you give people time to turn things around. You know, I have like maybe some advice that I think James could do? not advice. I don't want to say it like that. Do I have some ideas on what I think is wrong? Yes, absolutely. And that's the time in the off season for some self-evaluation, looking in the mirror. What are we doing? What is Penn State? What is the We Are brand, the unrivaled brand? Find out where the mistakes have been made. It doesn't all come down to money, like, is kind of implied in the administration not buying in, because that's not the case, in my opinion. But hey, that's what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to critique, and
Yeah.
doesn't matter if it's high school to college.
That's right. Hey, let me ask you this. Again, for whatever reason, I tried to switch the view here. It's just not working. What I want to know is when you guys do games. So obviously Fox 43, based out of York area, has you guys have a pretty big footprint. Let's call it a footprint. Okay. That's the word that everybody uses. So when, let's say it's a Friday night, how do you determine, and I know sometimes you go to two different games and Lindsay's going to two different games. How do you determine what games to go to? And how does it all come together on a Friday night?
It's a good question. I'm glad you asked me that, because there are sometimes we'll get emails in like, how could you not cover this big game?
Mm-hmm.
How could you not cover it? And I've never gotten an email from people in Shippensburg. I'm just going to use them as an example. They had a really good football team this year, and so did Big Spring. We didn't get to them a whole lot. You know why? It's hard for us to get there.
Mm-hmm.
It just is hard for Upper Dolphin. We didn't get there at all until the playoffs this year.
Mm-hmm.
You know why? It's hard for us to get there.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody pretty much, we did a really good job of covering football games last year, a really good job, and had the staff and things like that. The pandemic kind of changed things as it drug on, and some people have decided to leave the business, and it's been tough to find people to come in and fill those spots. So we had a smaller crew this year. So we were I wouldn't say disappointed, but there were some times we were covering Penn State, so we'd have two people on the road at Penn State games.
Mm-hmm.
So that took two of us away. So we would only have like single digit games, 9, when we would want to be up towards like 16 and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But we were expanding our Penn State cover. So hopefully next year, we're back to, we could do both, but resources are limited. And Dale, how many schools do you cover in the LL?
24, I believe.
There's, my count was we have a 119 team
mm-hmm.
district for football.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot.
Yep.
That's a lot. Now, we're not going into Berks County, so you can knock some of those schools off.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe my number's off, and I'm trying to remember it from the last time I counted it like 4 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the Tri-Valley League, which is now the Mid-Penn Patriot. That's the York Adams. That's the Mid-Penn. And yes, even Williams Valley is considered one of our teams.
Mm-hmm.
Because they're right on the Dauphin County, Schuylkill County line.
Mm-hmm.
Lebanon County. It ain't easy to get to from York.
Mm-hmm.
It's not. So a lot of it when you're deciding it is you try to find a game of the week, because we do our Frenzy pregame show. Last one coming up. I'm going to plug my own show here. Last one coming up, 6:00. LL School, Lampeter Strasburg is hosting Kennerdale, 10-1, 2 10-1 teams. A team that's been there before 3 straight times to a team that's upstart, and this is their deepest run ever in the playoffs. They're making school history every single week. So that's our Frenzy game of the week. Now, if that was, say, week number 3, when the leagues are doing interleague play kind of like that, and the non-conference interleague play. Look at me dropping a baseball term. Terrible. Crossing up the wires on that one. So what we do is we pick the game, and we'd have 3 people at that game. In years past, we'd have 4 people at that game. So what we would do is you circle that game, and you have to be able to have a game that the other 3 people at that game are able to get to by 7:00.
Mm-hmm.
So you have a half-hour drive to be able to get to.
Mm-hmm.
And one of those people normally is coming back to help me at the end of the night, because I put together a package, and it's not really just highlights. It's more story-based, and it has a couple interviews and things like that. So that's why I'm responsible for one game. Lindsay will leave me on, let's go back a couple weeks. She would leave me, say the last weekend of the regular season. And she could, if we're in Harrisburg, she might end up at Elizabethtown. She might end up down in Lancaster, somewhere like that. And she's got to get there pretty like, boom, jet out there. And she will get highlights of one game, put her voice on it, go to a second game, put herself on camera to be like, so we've already had one big upset, blah, 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 blah. Now it's time, and then she picks four more plays out and shows that second game, where, so that's how it's done. And we always try to give a fair balance to, like, if we have 4 Lank Leb games one night, we try to get 4 Mid-Penn games, 3 York, and we kind of do it like that. So unfortunately, the Mid-Penn Patriot or the old Tri-Valley League, sometimes they're kind of left out because of staffing issues where we don't have somebody, because again, those schools are also further away from each other. It gets hard to get somebody up into there. So, if there's a good game that's close to West Perry and West Perry's hosting a good game, maybe it's Mechanicsburg, West Perry, something like that, boom, we'll get there. We try to grab those teams a lot when they come down into the Harrisburg area. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We try to get Shippensburg when they're over. Sure. Waynesboro. Oh. Waynesboro they were going to be a game in a week. They were a game in a week recently with Spring Grove. Waynesboro is a tough one because where are we going to be able to pick up 6 other games if we're at Waynesboro within the drive? It's like a tough one. So that's why, we always try to, Bermudian Springs, when they would play Middletown in the playoffs, hey, Bermudian Springs is a good program. Let's jump on that. So not only do you need a good game with you, you need good games around you to be able to get the frenzy. And because we just have to get games like that.
Okay. It amazes me that we're pretty active in Twitter, and your guys are really active in Twitter as opposed to other media outlets. Do you guys just look at things and say, well, maybe we should try this? I mean, it seems to me like your station tries different things where other stations might not. I mean, do you guys do that, or is it just kind of sometimes you just fall into it? For example, you're talking about your shows, your Friday Frenzies, the other media outlets have something like that or have had that, but you guys are very active on Twitter. You have your Sunday, I think you still have your Sunday night show, yes?
Absolutely. Sunday night show, yeah. Everybody could tune in at 11 and
plug that. Plug your show a little bit. Tell us what it's about, because I know I've been a guest there and I was super impressed with how I was treated, and I was just like a little starstruck.
All right. The shows, we kept that going. We kept a 30-minute Sunday sports show that's dedicated to high school sports. We kept that going all the way through the pandemic when things were shut down, which that was difficult. I was doubtful. I really was. Alex Colley's the guy that, like, it was him and me running the ship at the time. And Colley looked over, he goes, we'll be able to do it. I'm like, all right, man. And I got to tell you, like, some of the stories we pulled out, high school bass fishing, I mean, they're like, hey, schools were cleaning gym floors. That was there. AAU basketball, that was there. Now, the stories that I wanted to do, parents defining the governor and having their kids play private sports and travel clubs, nobody really wanted to talk about that. No gyms that were staying open wanted to talk about that. They don't want to be put on the list.
Right.
But no, and it's a Sunday. It's every night at 11, or not every night, every Sunday night at 11. And what it is, we go on late on Saturday nights, super late during college football season, because we have a Pac-12 game. Pac-12 After Dark, check that out. Help us out. So you get so much content at Penn State. There's so many things to break down. Well, you add a little bit into it. If I'm only running, I can only run like 2 minutes worth of content on Saturday night. Well, then I do a different 1.5 minute content on Sunday night. And I just add to it. And then on Monday, I'm using something else. Whether it's James pointing out a specific deficiency. Maybe on Saturday, it's, the overall thing, people didn't, Penn State didn't protect Sean Clifford. He got hit 11 times. Got hit more than that, actually. Then on It's, hey, where's Sunday? We're still talking about that fake field goal. Let's hear what James has to say.
Yeah.
Now it's the fake field goal thing.
Hmm.
So there's a whole bunch of different angles. Sometimes we get caught with, we have so much going on. Like this Sunday, we have the Hershey Bears. Sometimes you might say, that's kind of a rerun. Oh, hey, thanks for staying up and watching at 2:00 in the morning and that you're seeing it again at 11. Like, so there's sometimes like that. But like we go out, we try to pull a different sound bite from the high school game. We'll recap kind of what happened on the high school weekend, give everybody a flow, reset their minds of going into the week and things like that. And let me pull out a different bite. That's what it's for. Or maybe there was a specific moment from a losing football team that I couldn't include in my package.
Hmm.
Like the kid from Columbia, who just set a state record for receiving yards, 11 catches, had 5 touchdowns against Upper Dolphin in their playoff game. I'm drawing a blank on his name. He's number 8. I feel terrible, but he's number 8 on Columbia. I think he's a good basketball player too. State record, 357 yards. 357 yards. I couldn't include it. I got to give that kid a shout out. That's what that Sunday show was for.
Oh man. Hey, I know some of our people know, but a lot of our followers do not know that you're a basketball referee. How in the world do you do that with your job? And then one thing I do know, it's like if there's something that's going on at a game that you're at a game and you and I are both at the game and we'll discuss a play or a call, it's like, how does that work? And you're like, well, I think it works like this. And I say, well, I don't know if that's how they interpreted that. So how does your refereeing mesh with your job, one, and how in the world do you do it? Because you're busy all the time.
Well, I got a full basketball schedule from my assigner where I ref at, and I do not ref in District 3. Now, I have gotten some District 3 teams in playoffs, and I will say there's at least one person out there that knows that I'm a referee, and they watch Fox 43, because that person was yelling at me saying, I suck on TV and I suck tonight. So there's at least one person that knows. I mean, okay. I thought it was funny. That was a good one. I try to talk to the fans.
Hey, I wonder if Lindsay will find that funny.
She probably would. So I'm just gonna say to fans, District 3 fans are pretty good. They read the thing. The students don't really stand up. Where I'm reffing, it's a little bit no holds barred. So there's nothing that could be said to me that hasn't been said.
Good.
There's nothing that intimidating. I'm a hardcore guy from the Pennsylvania coal regions. There's nothing that's going to intimidate me. So you might get me talking back to you.
Yeah. Do you do boys and girls in a different region? Or anything that you can get? Go ahead.
I've been switched primarily over to the girls' side. My assigner likes me on the girls' side. It's hard to ref both. I kind of always, nudge them. I'm like, when I was up in State College, I was reffing mid-Penn boys, and you go from having guys dunking on you, then I'd go in and ref the Penn State boys, in inter-squad scrimmages when Pat Chambers were there, and I got Tim Frazier and DJ Newville lined up in front of me, and I got a 5-second count out front.
Yeah.
So it's kind of hard to flip the switch, but hey, we all work for the man in some way, so I just do what I'm told.
Well, I mean, I was announcing a game last year up at Hershey, up at the finals, and you had that game. So how was it to do a state final game? That had to be pretty cool.
State final game was really cool. It was really cool. I'm blessed that where I grew up, and I said I grew up in Schuylkill County, everybody knows what Martall is.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll say this: there's not many. Repping a state final is extremely a great opportunity. If you ever ref a Schuylkill League final, when Martall is packed to the gills, it doesn't get more intimidating than that. And that's the benefit of our league. Now, I'm not saying the basketball is as good as in the state final, because it's probably not. It's just not. But that's all I know is, my league prepped me well to be able to do that state final game. And it was a good one. It was West Catholic and Mohawk.
Yeah. Mhm.
Two really, girl was going from West Catholic going to Virginia Tech, had a charge on her early in the game. It was my whistle.
Mhm.
Had a block coming back a couple minutes later.
Mhm.
And the coach from Mohawk was like, I think you just didn't want to put a second foul on her that early in the game. And I was like, nah, I don't think that was the reason. And hey, it was bang, bang. It was bang, bang. Somebody might have had a different interpretation on it. Coach didn't give me too much for it. I missed the TV timeout, so there was my first screw up. I didn't see the signal at the table for the TV timeout, so we took it in the middle of the 2 foul shots. Do not do that, people. Young refs, do not do that. Make sure you get the TV timeout. So we all screw up. You and I talk about like, oh, I don't know about that one. We talk about inconsistencies in the game.
Yeah.
Do I get frustrated with it? Yeah, I'm sure some people get frustrated with me. I'll tell you a quick story. Almost thrown off the sidelines this year at a Penn State game.
Okay.
I was, I thought you were going to react to that. The Penn State
I'm not surprised. So go ahead.
the Penn State Auburn game.
Okay.
They missed a down for Penn State.
Oh yeah.
Now I go out there and I know the people that are handling the officials at Penn State because I used to ref with them.
Mm-hmm.
I used to be on their football crew, or I used to do baseball with them or things like that. So I know all the guys.
Mm-hmm.
I know who's charting the plays. I saw their play chart. They had it right. The high school officials who've done state championship games, they had it right. So I heard this, and I'm introducing myself because, hey, it's a little fraternity. You never know when you're going to come across somebody. I wanted to know if they knew one of my guys that I used to do basketball with, who was my assigner down in Virginia, and wanted to know if they knew him. So I'm introducing myself. So during the game, I'm like yelling from the sidelines, and I'm calling them. I'm saying by their name, yo. What I thought was their name as I remembered it. It was like a Jim, James, Jay, whatever. Well, I had the name wrong and I was calling them wrong. I had the first letter right. Turns around, one more, you're not going to be here. I'm like, I'm trying to help you out. You just lost the down. I was right. I was right.
Oh man.
I didn't have instant replay.
No.
I knew what the down was.
Yeah, so did a lot of the Penn State fans. What?
Yeah, now I should be doing that. Like,
yes,
again, because I should be, because it comes off as fan,
right.
But like,
right.
Again, it's an official thing. So I come in. I do like when I'm up in Beaver Stadium's press box. Every now and then there's a weird play, and people will be like, "What is that? Like what?" And I'll be like, "Yeah, that's not the rule." I think the one was a while ago. A player put the ball down in college. Like he didn't put his arm down. He put the football down on the ground. You're down. And people like turned around and looked at me for like the interpretation. So.
Well, that's good. Maybe in a future career you can be like a Big Ten ref and do well there.
I'd love to.
Yeah,
I'd love to. I 3 years ago at Big Ten Media Days, I talked to the head of Big Ten officials. And I said I wanted to be in the replay booth because I think sometimes when they're in the replay booth, these older gentlemen and retired refs, they don't take into account angles. Like there is a geometry factor on stuff. Like based on the angle of the camera, you could factually assume that the ball is closer to point A than it would be to point B, or it appears to be closer because of the angle of the camera. Like if you're looking ball going towards the goal line, and I'm shooting from the 10-yard line, and that's the camera angle, that ball is going to appear to be closer to the goal line than if you were shooting straight down the goal line, or if you were shooting from the back of the end zone, it would appear to be further away from the goal line. Yeah. And I don't think sometimes those things are accounted for.
Oh, no, we had that. I mean, I didn't watch a lot of the game the other day, but I did watch some, and we had that when Penn State, I think it was a tight end, went out of bounds and he was stretching the ball out. Penn State didn't challenge it, but it would have gotten them a little closer. And I don't know if they would have gone for it on 4th and less than a yard as opposed to the 4th down and 2 and the fake. And then we can always go back to the Indiana game last year with the craziness. So they did kind of fix that with the goalpost view now. You know, I like that in the NFL, and I believe Big Ten has that on all their games as well.
Not all the games. The pylon view, they don't have it on all of them.
Oh, really?
It comes down to the broadcaster. It really does.
Okay. So Penn State.
I've taken pictures every game that I'm at. I've taken pictures of the pylon and tweeted out a picture like no pylon cam today. Pylon cam today.
Okay.
Yep.
So when Penn State's playing and they're on ABC or ESPN, we're going to have that camera. But if they're on the Big Ten network playing, let's say Maryland they were on, but Rutgers maybe this week, we might not have the camera view. Is that what you're saying?
Tonight or this week might not have it.
Okay.
Big Ten noon game might not have it.
Okay. What do you travel for all the away games for the Penn State?
I mean, I could have. Like, I was out at Iowa. I was out at Wisconsin. I was credentialed for Ohio State, but due to some family health issues, I stayed back. Lindsay went to Maryland. We consider Maryland a home game for Penn State. One, because more Penn State fans go to the game than Maryland. Mm-hmm. And two, it's actually closer. College Park is actually closer than State College to us. Right. So, and then I just got my credential in for Michigan State.
Okay. Good.
So
good. Yep. Good. So you're going. This is going to be a strange question. So you're going from covering a Penn State Michigan game to a high school game where there's maybe 1,000 people. Is there a difference? I mean, from your viewpoint, from covering games.
Well, I think when you're covering Penn State, you're covering it as like, these are diehard people. There are millions of dollars on the line.
Mm-hmm.
You know, James Franklin's being paid pretty well. There's a lot of money being transitioned over there. You know, Penn State is spending a lot of money on that football program, which in turn, where's that money coming from? Taxpayers in Pennsylvania. Like, you're supposed to cover, you got to cover that in a different way than the way you cover high school sports.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm a fan of high school sports.
Mm-hmm.
Like, when I'm out there, I'll crowd surf for our show, like in the student section.
Yeah.
If I'm covering a game and just say, one of the powerhouses is rolling pretty good. Like, for example, we had Central York, driving rainstorm, driving every, wind, everything.
Mm-hmm.
All right, York didn't play their best. They didn't play their best down the stretch. Listen, those kids are out there working hard. They had a great season. I'm not laying them out.
Mm-hmm.
Like, tip of the cap to Bo Prabula and Coach Janchik and all those guys, and they did what they needed to do. We're celebrate the good plays. I'm not pointing out bad plays.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like Penn State, Iowa. Lindsay's story that night was they couldn't get a snap off. Penn State couldn't get a snap off.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if that's a high school game, I'm not pointing out that the left tackle jumped off sides 3 out of 5 plays and the guard got called for holding on the other 2. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not pointing that out. College is different.
I do know that because of what we do, and we try our best, and I think we've been very successful at it to do positive stuff. Like if a kid,
absolutely,
if a kid misses a 1-on-1 at the end of the game, and I got it on video, that video is not going. That's not going out. It's just not, because that's not the story. But if the kid makes both of them and that wins the game, that video might go out. How about you? Go ahead.
Sometimes we would have to use that sometimes, because sometimes that might be the big story of the game. Like, it's back and forth, clutch, misses the front end of the 1-and-1, comes down, boom, hits a 3, and you roll that whole thing on the stuff. So, like, sometimes, it has to. And again, that's the great thing about sports is the next game, that kid's going to have another opportunity to atone for missing a foul shot.
Yeah.
But we're not like, I'm not sticking a microphone in his face and be like, dude, you're a senior captain, or young lady, you're a senior captain. You just cost your team a chance to win. Like, yeah, we're not doing that. We're not doing that. So if that's Penn State and it's the NCAA tournament and we happen to be covering it, or the NIT, we're going to ask that question.
Yeah. What, let's go to interviews a little bit. So I know at some games, such as the LL finals and stuff, you guys might get a clip of the coach talking or one of the top players. Do you guys do that? Do you do that in regular season games? So let's say we have, I don't know, let's just throw out Hempfield, McCaskey. We're playing a game. You guys are there videotape and taping, and then you're running back to the studio. But do you do after game interviews, like via the phone?
All depends on time.
Okay.
All depends on time.
Okay.
Sometimes we do it with the phone just because it's quicker, it's easier. But we prefer not to. I just broke a microphone, so I'm down a microphone. So I might be using my phone, but it's not the greatest. But yeah, idiot broke a microphone.
Yeah, nice. Well, there you go.
But yeah, all depends on time. It really does. You know.
What probably last kind of questions here. So we're active on the Twitter handle. We're not very active on the Facebook. How is your marketing? How do you guys look at, okay, we're getting, obviously you have some sort of ratings to know how many people are watching your Sunday show. How do you work with the social media end of your business?
Well, knowing that stuff, the marketing, that's above me. I have no idea. I don't. I'm just in the sports department. Don't want to know what goes on. Don't need to know what goes on. I'm sure our people do a good job with it. Our digital team is phenomenal. We have one of the old LNP writers, sports writers, Keith Schweiger, works for us, does great work. Kale Ahern does great work in our digital team. I'm always I'm not a big, Facebook keeps changing everything. It used to be you could just like click and boom, you were in your certain profile and it was a drop down like how you were posting. Because I have my own personal account and I have my work account. I have old work accounts, and now it's like a pain. And sometimes I'm posting as myself when I'm supposed to be posting as Andrew Kalista Fox 43. And so my Facebook thing lacks. It does. And Twitter, I just find it as being easier. Not that I view either one of them good for society, because I don't, but you try to be active on there and just be engaged. So the Facebook stuff is lacking on my part, but other people do really good. Lindsey Barna does really, really good with it. Alex Colley is really good with it, but yeah, it's just a balance thing. So I'm sure if it didn't help, we wouldn't be doing it.
Yeah.
But yeah, my and I will say this, during the winter sports is when my Facebook picks up. High school wrestling, my Facebook is loaded with high school wrestling. I don't know why, but I've always put wrestling on my Facebook. Football, I keep on my Twitter. Basketball, I keep on my Twitter. I don't know why the Facebook is different for me for wrestling, but I call it the Facebook. Yeah. Just showed my age right there, because when it first came out, it wasn't the Facebook.
The Facebook.
Yeah.
I really, I'll tell you, I enjoy you guys when you go back and forth. I mean, our footprint. I keep saying footprint, but our handle, our numbers keep going up, and to me, it's just amazing that I can put out something like today. We'll put something out, and it'll go across 3,000 people's Twitter handle at some point, whether they look at it or not, I don't know, but it just constantly grows. And I enjoy watching you guys when you kind of go back and forth, pictures of your dog, and Lindsay gets on there and Alex gets that. It kind of makes you guys real, as opposed to somebody behind the mic I'm covering a game. This is my job, and I'm done at 10 o'clock Friday night. And I know you guys.
We're real, and
Yeah.
and probably me. Maybe I talk a little bit too much, but I'll tell you another quick story. Not this year, last year. Okay, so 3 years ago, I was at a York Catholic game, and a kid, we'll say, is 7 years old. He's standing next to me, behind the rope. Turn around and I look at him, and I'm like, "Is that you a York Catholic Irish fan, or is that a Notre Dame Irish fan?" He's like, "York Catholic." I was like, "Ah, good." I'm like, "You don't want to be a Notre Dame fan." He's like, "Well, I'm a Notre Dame fan too." Yeah, I gave him the side eye, and I'm like, "Why?" And he's like, "Because of the tradition." And I said, "A tradition of what? Being overrated?" Well, he went running to his dad. Yes, I'm smack talking a 7-year-old about college football. He runs over to his dad, and I see him talking to his dad, and his dad gives him something to come back with. Kid comes running back over, and he said, forget what the kid said to me, but I had a smart comeback and quick, a kid friendly, safe comeback, and he's like, the kid didn't know what to do. He's like, "Dad," and he goes running back over to him.
Oh man!
At halftime, Dad came over to talk to me. We're just talking about college football. I said, "I'm just, and the dad's like, "No, I know, So but that's what it is. Like, you engage with people, like, that's how people get to know you. People always want to know, like, your opinions and thoughts.
Yeah,
probably should always give them, but
you're not going to change an Irish fan, or you're not going to change a Penn State fan, and that's the way it is. You know what I'm saying?
No, it wouldn't be the same world we lived in. Like, where I grew up, nobody, if your team won, you couldn't wait to go to church on Sunday because you wanted to find that, I'm Catholic. You wanted to find that Catholic member of your church that thinks they're going straight to the gates of St. Peter because they're rooting for Notre Dame. So when they lose to Navy, I'm right there for it.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Hey, you got any questions for me before we wrap up here? We've been on for an hour, which is not a surprise to me.
Yeah. What are your plans for the season? Who are the teams to watch? Tell the people. Tell me. I need to know. I'm in football mode. I don't know where I'm going early in the season.
Oh man. Well, Andy and I will do a preseason thing. We usually do it the day before Thanksgiving. He gets out to more games in the Spooky Nook, and he does some of the summer games. I don't do as much. As an ex-coach, it's hard for me to get excited about a summer league game because, one, you don't know who's there, you don't know who's not there, you don't know what the other team has, but you can see players that are good when they show up. So that's kind of a cool thing. We are putting together a live stream schedule as much as I can. We're going to do that again. I think this is our 4th year doing that, and it's been a crazy. That is really difficult for us. It's a cool thing when it works, and it's terrible when it doesn't work. It's so
frustrating, right?
It's super frustrating.
I've been there, man.
Yeah, it's crazy for the live stream, for getting connections, for getting out, and all this. So what we're going to do this year is we're going to record all the games. So whether we get out live or not, we will have that game up that night. So what we find with the live stream anyway is most of our viewers come in after the game. So if we're doing a live stream game, we might have 25 people watching it live, and then within 2 days we might have 500, 600, 700 views. So what we're finding is the people that are actually at the game are the people that are going to come back and watch it later on. So coaches, players, and then other coaches and other players that are at a game that night, they will say, "Hey, let's check this out instead of the huddle because we got guys talking." Our announcers are really, really, really good. We're very blessed with Eric Thomas and Coach Goodling. So that's something we're going to continue to do. We're going to try to do some girls this year. That's in the works. So I'm a little leery, but I'm excited at the same time because we do the girls finals, but we don't do a lot working up to that. So that's good. So coming down the sections, Hempfield, I think, is going to be real good. I think section 1 is going to be kind of a mishmash of things. Section 2 is going to be our most competitive section.
Mhm.
Um,
It normally is
well,
with
yeah,
the depth
yeah,
since I've been here. Yeah.
yeah, it's not bad. I mean, Warwick's been top dog the last couple of years, but Warwick's going to be good. E-Town's going to be good. CV's going to be good. Lebanon lost one of their top guards. They had two really good guards. A Luke Collins kid ripped up his knee, so that kind
Oh,
of.
did he?
Yes, yeah, he won't play at all this year. The Ferreira guy will.
I had it.
He's
Oh
really
man,
good. Yes.
Luke's a great interview. Had
Yeah.
him in the story because they played. I mean, Lebanon, Northern Lebanon, they played the one game with Mask.
Mm-hmm.
Remember?
Yes.
And then there was the shutdown.
Yeah.
Or they played the first one, so I was out there, and yeah, Luke was one of my interviews. Oh,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
I gotta reach out to Coach.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, that's
Yeah. Yeah.
yep.
Yeah. So I think that'll be really competitive. Section 3, I think we're still looking at LS just off the top of my head. They have some really good guards. Section 4 might be up in the air this year. Lancaster Catholic dominates usually that section, but I think there's some others that are going to give a run there. I'm looking at Octorara more than anybody else. They have the Hamilton. They had two Hamilton brothers. So the younger one's a junior this year, and he's very, very active.
Can Columbia win the league?
Columbia is in Section 5. Them and Mennonite are. We talked about this the other day. Both of those teams have a good shot at going a long way in districts and possibly in states. Can they win the league? Sure. They're not very deep. They got a lot of guys coming back. They got Coach's son's a great point guard that handles and shoots well. Yeah, they can win the league. I mean, anybody can win the league. I always tend to go with the bigger schools because they're kind of more battle tested. And
I'm a small school guy from Monterey area, so when I was and I'll take you back. You remember the Shimokins, right? The good Shimokin basketball teams.
yes,
Hey, Monterey area, whether it was Mikey Rhodes or whether it was Mark Wortman and Thomas Schuler, we didn't back. And Mikey Rhodes, head coach at VCU. Yes. They didn't back down from anybody. Now, other small schools have since won the league, but we were the first, and we were the first ones to do it multiple times. Yeah. And that was back under the old Quad A. And obviously, there's more bigger schools down here than up in the Schuylkill League. But we take Shamokin, take them down. Take Pottsville and Blue Mountain, take them down. So
I think in the LL, I'm speaking off the top of my head, but I think since we've had league playoffs, Columbia's might have won it once, maybe twice. Mm-hmm. It happens, but it doesn't happen that often. And usually it happens when we have a big name player. Like you just named some big name players for those schools. It's like when we had Mike Whistler and Patton and all those guys. So that's part of it. The other thing we're working on, which you'll like, is we're going to do a history of the LL. 50
That's
years.
Always cool.
Well, this is the 50th year coming up. So, people, it's been interesting because I've been there. I was a player when we first started in 1974. So I played in the league, and then I coached in the league, and then I've done the media. So I've seen most of the teams and most of the players. So we're trying to put some things together that's going to be pretty cool. We got standings. There's been four state championship teams coming out of our league. So we're going to try to do a little chapter on them. We have 13 coaches that have over 200 wins, and that's pretty cool too. So we're going to try to do some of that and try to hit some of the 1,000-point players. And then we're going to try to, which is impossible, we're going to try to do decade teams, which I have on my website. And again, I've seen most of them play. Sometimes I miss a guy and somebody will write me and we'll the nice thing about what we do is I can change things with a click of a button. Somebody will say, what about this? And I'll write back and say, what are you talking about? Go look at it. That's not a mistake. And they're like, wait, you changed it. I said, oh, no. So that's a pretty cool thing. So we're working on it. And I'm hoping that the game plan was to get it done before football season, but it's not happening. So we're going to keep working on it. I'm going to try to interview some refs, and basically we're using this format. We're doing the Zoom format. We're transcribing it and we're editing, and we're just going to slap that in. It's like, okay, what was your memory of this, or what about that play, and something like that. So that's new, and I'm real excited about that. But it's less than a month. We're going to be live streaming, so I think the kids start practice Monday, I believe.
I got to get in the shape, man. I haven't run since my state championship game. I mean, I've run.
Oh, well,
normally away from my wife when she's gonna beat me when I screw something up around the house. It's a joke, everybody.
No,
that was a joke.
Oh, it was a joke. I always felt when I was coaching, the coach would run your suicides and do this and do that, and I'm there like, it's so different game. The game is different than just running up, and it's different. So you'll get in shape. I'm not worried about it. It's what the heck? If there's 3 of you, you don't have to run as far. You know what I mean? I mean, how difficult is it to run from hash mark to hash mark? That's not hard, dude. No, I'm
gonna bite my tongue on that one, because for some people it's difficult.
Hey, thanks. I appreciate your time. Good luck with everything you guys do. We'll continue to follow you, and it's been great chit chatting with you too, my friend.
Thanks, Del.
You bet.
Keep in touch. Shoot me a text. I'll see you.
Yeah, I'll